Hello. Welcome to the Extreme Gaming Podcast. This is episode 240, August 8th, 2024. Just in case someone's listening like hundreds of years, centuries from now, Greg, just in case. I need to get a date on this, you know. I am Trev, as always, and joining me this evening is my co-host.
Greg Hammer 25 right here. We do GGR, which is a entertainment thing. We do a Trek thing that Trev will talk about in a second. We have wonderful cups that you can't see with our logo on it, and a logo right behind me, and lots of stuff to talk about.
Wow, I'll just go home. I think we're finished the show now. Well done, Greg. Well done. Nothing else to say. Thank you for coming along, people. Sorry we're 5 minutes later, so that will be revealed as to why in a moment, because it's very relevant. Few things to talk about. Matt can't make it. He's tuning in at the moment. He's got private stuff going on at the moment. Apparently they're going to give him cream for it, so I think we'll be okay. No, I'm joking. Family, friend stuff. He'll be all right. He'll be back next week. He'll be back next week, hopefully. But he's watching at the moment. Just a nice guy. Was it just a nice guy? Thank you for the sub, my friend. Always love your support, mate. Thank you. Love you long time. Right, so get the paperwork out of the way, and then we can discuss what's actually going on. So first of all, we've got a new gaming stream coming along soon, new Twitch gaming stream, which will be not next Wednesday, Gray, but the Wednesday after. I realised that I've got those that are from the UK might know what this is, the military tattoo at the Fringe Festival. So I've lived here 23 years and never done it. So I thought I'd go along and do it with the family. It's Google it online. It's musical. It's military. It's mayhem, but it's good fun apparently. So it'll be a week in Wednesday or 2 weeks yesterday. What's that? The 21st August, I want to say. Yeah, 21st.
Yeah, 21st. Cool.
And it'll just be, we're going to be streaming more. That's where this is coming from. We're going to be streaming more. We're probably minimum twice a week, so we've got our main gaming podcast as we're doing just now, and then on top of that, we will also have our Wednesday evenings as well. Short of something going wrong, we'll be there at 7 p.m. UK time, and we'll be on for at least a few hours. So we'll try and play a game that we all like, something that involves other people if we can. So you could come along and watch us, game with us. Do both if you can multitask.
Tell us what we're doing right or wrong.
No, backseat gaming, man. Oh no, don't know about that.
We'll have some fun with it.
I mean, we're going to try it out anyway. But we thought, it's could be something we could do. Destiny raid. Well, Scythe, listen, I'll be talking about that in a moment, mate, because I'm really enjoying my Destiny at the moment. That's why I was late. But yeah, so. This gaming night, if you don't want to watch us, why would you not want to watch us on Twitch or join in the game? You can come along and join in at our server, which is discord.gg/Extreme Gaming Podcast. But just Google that and come along and join us that way as well. Gray mentioned before, he's got his podcast as well. Do once a month, entertainment related. Hopefully we'll be talking Deadpool Wolverine on it, because I love that movie. And that'll be happening soon, and that's Gray's Green Room everywhere, like literally everywhere that you could think of, and watch and listen to the man himself. I'll be there with him as well.
You can even fall asleep by it if you want.
Not selling it very well, Gray. Not selling it very well, I must admit.
White noise.
And of course, my one as well, the Trek Way, which we talk about Star Trek and do reviews and opinion pieces. That's taken a back seat for a couple of weeks because of what we're going to talk about in a few moments, Gray, and also burnout and fatigue. It happens to the best of us. There is one thing that might be happening soon if I can get to it. Gray and Scythe are going to something in London called EGX. For those that are in the UK, know the gaming community, you'll know what that is. That's more relevant now that Insomnia's went down the toilet pan. Really sad about that.
That's
Still,
you and how many of you guys are going?
so far I know of
Two or
3: Matt,
three?
myself,
That's good.
and Scythe. And it's I went to it years ago, Greg. It was a bit shit years ago. I won't lie. It was not amazing. But it's got a lot better for various reasons. I think partly because Insomnia is away now. More people go to that. It's all weekend for 2, 3. Well, it's London, which is more international than Birmingham. Sorry, anyone from Birmingham. And it was taken over by TikTok. Scythe was telling me that actually, and I've forgotten about that fact.
Oh yeah. Wow.
So so they'll be.
Was it? Matt was telling me. I think they combined with a Comic-Con too, or something.
Probably is. They probably teamed up to make itself massive. Yeah. Insomnia going away as well. So
Good idea.
I wonder if we'll get a special guest appearance from Xi Jinping himself, because TikTok, So that's the 24th, 25th, and 26th. It's at the Excel Centre in London town, and I'm going to try and make it, but I'm not as close as you guys are in England. I am about 400 miles away, which I know is just around the corner for you, Gray. Like, that's nothing in America.
Oh, yeah.
That's nothing.
Just jump on a plane.
So I'll be there in no time. But yeah, for me, it takes a while longer with the transport we've got. So
you guys at least have shows. We have like nothing over here. The only shows we got are way too far away for me to attend. Like San Diego and Boston, but that's about it. There's nothing locally going on anymore. And ended years ago here.
I've got a great idea for a gaming event in Florida. Yeah.
Well, they do. I take it back. They have the one convention in Orlando. They do every year. I did go to actually 2 or 3 of those, but I haven't been back there for probably about 8 years. I would say something like that.
Do you want to hear my idea for a great gaming event in Florida?
Sure.
Have you ever dived with sharks before in the metal container things, little cages? Yeah.
The cage. Yeah. You're talking about the shark cage.
Yeah. So
I haven't done it.
What I propose is we outside in a garden, right? We just put like a metal cage, like the ones they use in the WWE, put it around you, supply power inside it only, right? And then put a desk and stuff, and we'll use like a Starlink mini dish and a portable generator, and you can game, right? But we'll put a fence around you that's strong but not super strong, and then we'll put kind of like lots of like meat and stuff around the inside perimeter of the fence, and then put crocs around it.
Yeah.
Right? And then we'll just no, actually a minute. I always get mixed up between crocs and alligators. Crocs
aren't in the sea, although there are some saltwater crocodiles, but not here.
Alligators are freshwater, aren't they? Yeah, right.
Alligators are, yes, all over the Everglades. I could basically go about 1 mile that way and see alligators.
And then we'll see how long you can survive in your cage, So there you go. That's my idea for a gaming event.
Live. We could do live streaming to Twitch while I'm underwater and things are attacking.
You don't need to have water. No, you don't need to have water. Water's not involved unless it's optional.
Oh, okay. I hear the alligators like raw chicken, so I can bring some of that with me.
Well, no, you're the meal, Gray. Although you might be a bit gamey now. You might be a bit gamey, so I'm not sure.
Just stick my arm out of the cage and come on.
So EGX 24, 25, 26. I'm going to try and make it. I'm trying to talk my work into letting me go down dual purpose. To be fair, I was honest with them, Gray. I said to them, listen, I'll go down and see my London colleagues and help them out and whatnot. And I said, but at the same time, I want to, at the weekend, then do a social event. I want to be up front. And he's like, that's cool. I was like, that's dependent on what other people say.
Now, if you do go, you have to, definitely take some video and stuff.
No grey bot. No more grey bot. It's gone.
No, that was another whole story. That was a great thing before it fell apart. But no, you got to bring take some video and pictures and stuff, and we'll put it up on the Discord and talk about it when y'all get back. But that's a while now. We got till October.
Yeah, we got a while, mate. We got a while. Don't need to worry about that. So, yes. Anyway, right. Okay, we're going to talk about a word. I had to word this carefully in the notes because it sounded like there was other massive changes coming, but for the better. Future of the pod. And what I mean by that is Gray and I have taken it over. That's Gray's granddaughter in the background, by the way. You can introduce her if you want, Gray. She could be famous.
Okay, cool. Hey, this is Braylon, my granddaughter.
Hi, Braylon.
Say hi.
What's up? Hiya.
Sometimes I bring my dog up to the microphone, but today I got a real person.
A real person. Yeah. Braylon. Is that right? Braylon, to get the name right?
Yes, Braylon. Mm-hmm.
Braylon. Cool. Nice to meet you, Braylon.
She looks like her mother. Luckily, she doesn't look too much like me, but you know.
Thank God for that. Thank God for that. Yeah, got to look like mum instead.
All right.
But yeah, so
she's playing with the dog.
He's babysitting at the moment. So, but he's been really sneaky. He's in turn making his granddaughter babysit the dog. So genius, Gray.
Yeah.
So yeah, she might be popping in and out saying hello, but Gray's having to do a lot and multitask. So yeah, the future of the pod, Gray. So Gray brought this I'll let him introduce it initially. He brought this idea to me, which I had looked at, not taking away credit from Gray, a while ago, but I thought, nah, it's too expensive. Gray's not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy it. You're not going to buy the idea.
Right.
So, and I dismissed it. But Gray, do you want to tell initially the people what you came to me about and what you think is going to go?
Sure. Trev and I have been discussing for a while and really haven't said a lot until now. But we're thinking about what do we want to do with the future of the podcast? And one of the things that we had talked about was like, it'd be nice if we could, do live stream on more than just Twitter, or Twitch, and whether we could go to the other avenues as well. And we're saying like, all right, so we started doing some research.
We're going to OnlyFans. You heard it first.
Yeah, of course. Sure. Only games, we're going to call it. So we were trying to figure out like how many places can we really go? So we started doing research and finding out that, this was possible. That wasn't, this will cost this much. That's too much. This is not enough. It was almost kind of like you would go to one thing and they would be able to do this great, but not that. And then this great, but not that. It was getting really frustrating. So as I was doing the research and stuff, we hit upon a company called Riverside. If they're listening to this, hi guys. But
yeah, if you want to give us a discount to plug your services or anything, no problem.
Yeah, man, we can do that. There's one or two other services around there, but we felt this one was the best one. But essentially, what Riverside does is it takes your podcast, be it video, audio, or both, and allows you to stream to up to 8 different sources at one time. So that means Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. So when we heard that was great. And we were sitting there thinking like, well, how can we justify the cost? Because there was a certain amount of cost to it, which we found as we started looking into wasn't unreasonable, but we still had to figure out whether that made sense. And we kind of got to the opinion that, okay, it's not too bad. The other thing is that I've never seen software, browser-based software that works like theirs does. I started looking at one video after another, seeing like some of the amazing things that it did from video editing, audio cleanup, all the way through the broadcasting live, having your own studios, separate recordings, backups to the separate recordings, so that in case something happens, you're okay. I was just like floored, and so Trev and I really talked hard and long about it, and we just thought like, what the heck? Let's just go for it and bite the bullet. So it's not going to be a transition that's going to happen like tomorrow. But we're going to do the learning curve and try to roll it out. And then when we do that, you're going to see a good quality jump to the podcast, both audio wise, although audio we've gotten down relatively good, but now the video is going to come along with it and then allow us to do a lot of different things. So that's my spiel. I'll let Trev chime in on that one too.
I'm just thinking I'm really white, like whiter than usual. I think I need one of your fancy lights. I've got a Razer, one of those Razer webcams with a twisty on light, which makes me look like Michael Jackson, man. I mean, I swear to God, it's not natural at all. Actually, that's
but you have relatively the same camera I do. You can adjust some of that stuff.
It doesn't help that it's shining right at my head, and
that was the reason why I got the ring light. I have a larger, like I think this is about a 8-inch ring light that's like right over there. And
you need a diffuser, don't you? There's a whole art to this. Like Riverside have so many videos in their YouTube, and Gray's been watching loads so far.
Well, the thing that got me geeky about Riverside is because that's the background I come from. I spent 35 years but the first 10 years of my career was all in television production, radio production.
That was back in the hand crank cameras, wasn't it?
Not quite that old, but yeah.
Mm.
So when I started seeing, I'm already amazed by what you can do digitally anyway. But when I started seeing the stuff that Riverside was throwing at us, and I'm looking at this going like, wow. And then it was funny because they started talking about lighting, and I know all about lighting. I lit studios. I mean, big studios.
He looks natural. I look like Michael Jackson. He knows.
Yeah. So 3-point lighting, they're talking about key lights, fill lights, backlights, and all this stuff. And I know exactly what they're talking about. But anyway, we just got really excited about the chance for. Let's put it this way: a couple of years ago, there's no way in heck we could do this. It would have cost way too much money. It would be out of sight. And now, a couple of years later, where the cost has gotten to be very reasonable, and the quality is just like it's crazy. I mean, I can't even believe half of what I'm seeing. So yeah, that's going to be start. Mercy says black and white gray when you started. not that old.
No,
although if I want to go back to my childhood,
it was before black and white. It was like the silent pictures.
Yeah, I was right. I was making drawings on white pads and flipping pages.
Gray was an extra back in the original Charlie Chaplin movies when they weren't talking.
Yeah, that's it.
Look in the background, he was an extra.
Yeah. I wish I was making his money back then.
Oh, wait to tell you, Gray, right? It's kind of a tangent, right? This is, I'm really pissed off about this, more for GGR, but I think it's funny to tell here. Gray mentioned this in the Discord a while back, and I left it a day too late. I'm devastated. So they're filming a movie here soon, a Netflix movie, because Edinburgh's very picturesque. So like they come here for all the kind of, between here and London, for all the kind of old, timey-wimey picture Victorian type settings, so they'll come to these places.
Victorian, medieval, etc. Yeah,
we get a big kind of square at the back that looks like a square from back in the day, and it's called The Prodigal Father, which is basically a Frankenstein movie. I don't know if it's the original or a remake or whatever, but Netflix have put the money up front for that, and it's your man Del Toro that's actually directing it. So they put leaflets through all the doors. Do you want to be an extra? I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I've never done that before. I applied for it, and then they sent out a text going, right, we need to know your availability and what you'll wear, what you'll not wear, all that stuff. Fill it out, and I had to measure myself, but I left it a day too late because I had to find my measuring tape. So come home, and I went to click on a link, and it said no responses required anymore. And I'm devastated, man, because I could have been the guy in the background going, I'm doing a really silly wave. I'm devastated for that, because it wouldn't have been a talking thing, because you need like an equity card for that, but it would have been like something.
It would have been great if you could have been one of the townsmen with the torch ready to burn down the castle or whatever.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, like, well, I mean, that square's not going to double as a castle. We do have a castle just over there, like really impressive, but somehow I think they're filming that somewhere else.
I have fake castles over here.
Fake castle. So yeah, I mean, I don't know where to come up. Totally random. I'm kind of devastated by it. So yeah, the thing that Gray was talking about there, it's going to happen slowly but surely. He did mention that, and the reason being is because not only is it an expensive upfront cost, but there's a lot of work that's required to get it up to that speed. There's a learning curve with Riverside itself. There is a lot of things to implement as well. Our man, who's, to be fair, has been part of the community for a long time, just turned off Discord for a couple of years. I kind of don't blame him, which is an old flame of the pod, Jansen. For those that remember, he's turned his Discord back on, and he was good with the graphics and stuff back in the day. For those that know the podcast well, he helped do the graphics that we've got here just now, but they need a bit of an updating and refresh. So I'm not actually sure how that'll work with Riverside, Gray, because with Riverside you can put background pictures and stuff, but they won't be as relevant as what we've got at the moment. So we'll need to.
In terms of the video audience, because we have video and audio on the downloads and stuff, we'll not only be able to do your own background, you'll also be able to put your own background by your camera, a major background that we're all up against. You can also, a lot of times, remember how we always talk about, and we're talking about a game. I wish I could roll a little video of it, but it was such a pain to try to do. on Discord or whatever, and it's insane. It's insane.
You can
but in Riverside, it's a click of a button, and we just kind of like move over, and all of a sudden the next screen comes in. And there it is.
I don't like that view, Gray. I know what you're talking about screen sharing. I'm not a fan of that because, well, I am a fan of it, but not the...
No, well, it won't be screen sharing in Riverside. It is now, the way we do it.
It will be screen... We will use that feature, because if I want to show a video clip to someone of a game trailer, or I want to show them an article, I know what you mean. The picture that Riverside show you a demonstration, and it sticks everyone in the camera, sticks them to the side. But I would rather they stick us to the top or the bottom. I don't like this side. So good, because it looks.
Yeah, you can do any side, right, left, top, bottom. You can put it full screen if we don't want to be on at all during the clip or not. You can do all these things. So that'll be a boon to the people that may be looking on YouTube or downloading the videos or whatever. They'll see some of that. And no, we're not forgetting our audio audience, because every time, if you haven't noticed, when we do something that's visual, we try to explain so the people that are downloading on podcasts can, still understand what we're doing.
And we still will. We still will.
Exactly.
The couple of comments in chat. So first of all, Mer saying we all have castles. Well, maybe in the UK we do, but Gray doesn't have one. So there you go. And do you have a castle in the middle of your city on top of an extinct volcano? Hold my beer. Thank you very much. No one does. I don't know of any castle in the world. I don't know any castle in the world that's both central and sitting on top of an extinct volcano up in a big. Well, it's volcanoes are.
I'm sure it's extinct, right?
I mean, inside it's not, because they've commercialized the hell out of it and it's too expensive. But from the outside, it's great. Hey,
see what I would do to help.
Great. The English that we're never able to take it. There you go.
Oh, we're rubbing it in now.
Of course I am. Okay. Hey, you've got to own it in when you were owned for long enough that you have one thing that you can say, come on, they had their fun. So anyway, let's not get into historic politics.
I think what they should do, though, in your castle, just to make it, really exciting, is they should just like have a pipe down the center and then just pump up like fake lava just to make it really exciting. By the way, I have a castle here. This is funny. I guess about 30 miles south of me. It was really close to me when I was growing up. But there's a park, a city park, whatever. And you go in there, and they actually, I don't know who built this stupid thing, but they actually built a castle. I'm serious. It's small.
Well, you got Orlando. Very big at all. It's Mickey's house. Orlando.
No. This is in a park. It's the only one I've ever seen in any park in Florida. Period. Right. And they built this thing out of just a bunch of rocks and stuff like that. And it's got like a walkway that you can go up to the top. So it's kind of like the castle you're talking about, but miniature. It's not, and it's built up on a hill. And so a lot of, like you just said, a lot of us as kids would go up to the hill, right in front of where this castle, if you want to call it, is. And then we would just take our bikes and ride straight down and, hope we didn't crash into a tree and kill ourselves.
Gray will see the real thing one day. Gray, before he pops his clogs, is coming to the UK, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I'm trying to convince him to, maybe not just now, because, his son and whatnot stays with him, at some point in the near future, sell the current gaff, the house, right? Because it'll be worth a lot of money. The family home's been there for a long time, worth a few quid, a few dollars. Sell it off, get a little kind of small retirement home, right? Or these attractive nurses can look after them, right? And then use the profits to come to UK and gallivant around the world, man.
You're taking this. You got my whole thing planned out.
Yeah, I've got it planned out. I'm your. You don't need to speak to any legal people, man. I've got your life planned.
Oh boy. Okay. No, that's definitely my plan, to come over and see a bunch of you people. So
we also need to put into as well that by no later than 75, he needs to officially sign over the Discord to me in case he pops his clogs and it's still in his name. That'd be a disaster. Put me in touch with your son. We can't let that happen.
We are a true co-owning specialists here.
No, we're mostly jesting, of course. It's Gray's name's an official because it had to be one person, not two. Yeah, and the Discord sub feature that exists officially via Discord and not me bot, that's a US thing only at the moment. So it makes sense to put it in Gray's name and then do the Twitch in my name and whatnot. So anyway, massive tangent. I mean, that's what we're known for, I guess. Anyway, so the Riverside stuff, it looks really, really cool. The things you can do with it. It's basically StreamYards on drugs, with a lot more added in. So you can do the stuff that StreamYards does, but better and to more sources. StreamYards does like 4 or 5 sources. Gray just said you can do up to 8 here. I think looking at it, Gray, I looked at it, we probably only need 5. Instagram's not on the list, actually, which is weird. Instagram's not on it. I don't want to go to LinkedIn. I don't know why anyone would go to LinkedIn unless it's some kind of business.
I saw 2 on there I didn't recognize. I think that was one of them. I recognized 6 of the 8, but I didn't know what the other 2 were.
It'll be 5 for the accounts we've got. Twitter's another, but you have to be premium for that. So I might go on holiday to get it cheaper. Moving on. So yeah, in terms of it basically makes your audio a lot better, and it will download and record your audio track separately from your video as well, so we don't need to dick about trying to improve that separately. So many bells and whistles, and it allows us to do a lot of clips from it as well for TikTok shorts, YouTube shorts, all that kind of good stuff. The editing in it is phenomenal. You can literally, it transcribes everything.
It's crazy.
And you take out words and delete the words, and it deletes the bit from the video. That is some kind of Doctor Strange voodoo shit there. How?
I mean, I play around with my video editing, as you know, but when I saw that, I'm going like, really? Yeah. I mean, it's just like, it transcribes the whole thing, and you just take the bit out, and it just takes it and removes it. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds good.
We'll need to
the other thing I liked about it too is if you, let's say we had a bit at the end that we really felt would have been better somewhere in the middle or at the beginning of the podcast, you could literally pull it out, move it, drop it in wherever you want it. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of neat.
Don't know why you would rearrange it, but I mean, you have the I mean, that's better for I don't know, like,
well, for an audio podcast reason, you never know. I mean, we may never
stuff
use
as well. You can do things
yeah.
about it's an editing tool as well. You know, it will,
and that's something we're going to get into a wee bit more too. If there's people that we really want to talk to or interview or involve in the podcast, but time zones just do not work, we're going to try to sit there and get to these people anyway, and pre-record stuff and drop that in as well, so that we can enjoy other things that we wanted to do but really didn't do because of the time zones.
Yeah.
So all that's possible now at this point.
Loads. I mean, you take a while to even get close to all the features that it's really got, like auto leveling. If I'm too loud, Gray's too low, whatever, it'll fix all that kind of cool stuff. And on top of that, I mean, at the moment, I like to think our audio setup's pretty decent, but I get a bit annoyed with my mic sometimes. I mean, from the odd time. Usually it's Discord playing up, to be honest with you. I want to eliminate Discord from the operation, although this is a decent mic. I mean, it really is. I have mostly no issues with it, but it's USB Type B connection, which is that little printer type connection. It's weird. Which means it's not USB-C, it's not as customizable, you can't control it via software, which is annoying. So I'm getting shot of that, and I'm getting a Rode podcast mic. You'll recognize it when I put it on, with a much bigger monitor arm, so it'll come from the back of the desk and like hang down. I've always wanted one, like the mic thing that hangs down from the top. Looks cool.
The old broadcast way was doing it that way from above.
Yeah, and because we're getting rid of, well, not getting rid of, we'll get the option to bypass Discord, because we'll be doing it via Riverside, via web browser links that are sent to us, and we can just send a link out to any guests. Also, an audio mixer as well. Gray's got one, the Go XLR Mini. I'm getting the Roland Bridgecast, it's called, and it'll just make things a lot nicer. So you'll, over the next few weeks, you'll start to see a slow but sure improvement. And I'm looking forward to it. But watch this space, because it'll take some time to set up. Not an easy thing to do. Right, so what we've got first in the agenda, I was late. Well, nothing to do with Gray. We're a bit late because of first 5 minutes or so. Gray's trying to drag me into the podcasters group. I had to mute everything, because see, when you're in the middle of like a hectic boss fight or whatever, and they're all like taking a piss and joking and playing soundboard clips, of like, I have to mute this. Like, I keep dying. And then I'm like, you get to the stage where you fight the boss, but you get halfway through, and then you die, and you're like, okay, it's podcast time. And I'm like, no, there's no chance. If I stop this fight just now, I'll have to do it all again and more later on. Not a chance. So I'm finishing it. They're those two are watching
Dedicated to
me.
a game.
Well, they're watching me while I stream it in Discord, but it's like obviously muted. Yeah, I was playing more of the Destiny 2 DLC because I was trying to go between that and Once Human a little bit. Still not sure about Once Human. I really we can get to that maybe in a bit, Gray.
I'm liking it.
Might be one of the games that we could play collectively as a community. So we'll see how we go. But the DLC's pretty good fun. I'm not finished it yet. I wanted to try and get more of it done, but I've been playing a decent amount over the last week, and it's so much better than last year's one for those that play Destiny. Beyond Light.
Well, tell us, what's the name of the new one?
The Final Shape.
Final meaning like ready for Destiny 3?
Well, Destiny 3 is a whole thing that was known unofficially as another name, and they can admit to it being Destiny 3, and that's been ditched and because of the whole Bungie layoff, and they'll keep Destiny 2 going until it's the equivalent of 8-bit graphics, probably in the future. Yeah, Destiny 3 really needs to come along, but I can't see it. I mean, we did talk about it last week, yeah, like they sacked a lot of people from Bungie, so there's no way they can...
Yeah.
They don't have the resource to make it now. So things will go down the toilet, basically, I think, after this. So you go from a really bad DLC and Beyond Light, which I haven't even still finished, so I might be missing out. I know I'm missing some of the story. There's not... Gray, do you like story stroke lore in games, in any games, or do you mostly bypass it all because you're bored of it?
I don't tend to get real deep in any lore. Right. Only because it depends on what it is, but a lot of times when you're talking about lore, they get so deep into it, you feel like you have to read an encyclopedia of information. And I'm like, hello, I want to play the game. Now, if it's a story that's woven into the game, then yeah, I'm all for it, because that's kind of like watching a movie, sort of. So you're into it and you can get it. But if I have to go off and start reading books and reading volumes of paper and technically, digital paper on stuff, I'm like, nah. I mean, the thing that I like is a lot of times that they'll do is they'll collect it into a wiki or an encyclopedia within the game, so that if you really want to know about XYZ, you could go to that, look it up, and say, oh, okay, and then just go right back to what you were doing. But no, I can't get into lore that deep and just endless reading. I mean, I've never played the game at that rate. So yeah, I want to get the capsule review, so I'll just go to YouTube. Explain this to me in 10 minutes. Okay, good.
You have to be, for the most part, I'm not interested in lore and story, right? I mean, like when I started Once Human, I was zooming past it, all the story, because I'm not involved, I'm not committed. They've not got me really, really interested in it yet. And maybe I didn't give them the chance, but I was a Destiny because I enjoyed the story for the most part. But this is what's Sai saying, yeah, Destiny sucks for newcomers. You need a lot of research to understand the lore. Yes, that's true, Scythe, but I guess the flip side of that is the base game is free because it's now a live service game, so you get people into the game initially, and there's a good amount to play for free, and then you pay for the DLCs and stuff in the season pass on top of that. For me, this is one of the few games where I'll listen and watch the lore.
To kind of answer Scythe, though, I mean, I didn't go read up on tons of lore either, but when I did play Destiny 2, and granted I haven't played it like in over a year, but when I did play it, I had a blast, and I was really enjoying it. And now I did play with a Discord member that knew a lot about it, and I played some with Trev too. So I kind of learned a little bit of some of the lore just going around. But I didn't make an effort to go to go deep into the lore, and I still had a blast. It was fun. Maybe I'll get back to it one day now that I hear Trev talking about this DLC. So
you don't have to. A good game should should allow you to jump in it and just play some of it and not necessarily read and get involved in all the lore. It really, really shouldn't be too in-depth. I still don't read everything. See, when it comes up for a mission or something and it gives you the blurb on the right, I don't read that. I just jump in. What I'll do is I'll pay attention, see the cutscenes and stuff. That's why I probably loved the Last of Us video game. That's probably why I loved the God of War games, because I like to be entertained. Now, it can't get to the level of Hellblade 2, which I will shit on any day of the week. Yes, it looked beautiful, but oh my God, I'm waiting for 10 minutes before I could actually get playing. I'm like, what is this? Is this a movie with gameplay elements added to it? That was an extreme, of course. I like it when it's mostly gameplay, but maybe 2/3 gameplay and maybe 1/3 lore and cutscenes. I pay attention to the cutscenes. I read the text below. I listen to what they're saying, because there's been many iconic characters in that game. I apologize for pissing all over his memory. I don't mean to. The black cat guy from
Lance Reddick.
Thank you, mate. You're so much better with names than me. Yeah, he's been in the Fringe and stuff. He passed away like a year or two ago. There was a thing in the game where people in their lobbies were going up to where the character was in the tower, like doing silly dances and doing guards of honor for him. And yeah, it's silly and it's a bit immature, but it's sweet because that's how important this character and this voice acting was to it. You've got Nathan Fillion as Cade Six, who, spoiler alert, you will fall in love with him, and then they basically kill him. They kill him at one point, and
But the rumor is forever that he's coming back. Although he hasn't.
This is the thing, right? No, we kind of did. Like, so he dies, but somehow in this DLC he comes back, but not properly. I'll let you play it for yourself, so I'm not completely spoiling it. But you still, he's a kind of robotic. His character, his guardian, is a robot type creature, you know, and he's got the gun. Is it Ace of Spades? Ace of Spades. Someone will correct me, Scythe, or someone will correct me. I'll probably get that wrong. Always get his gun wrong. It's a hand cannon anyway, one of my favourites. But he comes back to it in this little one. They got it right, Ace of Spades. And other great actors as well. The guy that they got rid of him, and they never gave him a proper chance. Who's the little guy, and I don't mean that in a demeaning way, from Game of Thrones that's now semi-famous? Tywin Lannister.
Mayhew? Peter Mayhew?
Peter. Yeah, Peter Dinklage.
Peter
Dink. Thank you, mate.
Yeah.
Peter Dinklage.
Yeah. Thanks, Scythe.
Scythe knows everything, mate. He was the voice actor for a little while, and whatever happened, I don't know if they parted ways in good or bad terms, but they get rid of him. And they brought in, who's the famous guy that does your ghost voice now? Oh, I know it. Nolan North? Nolan someday? Nolan.
Got me on that one.
Yeah. Anyway, he voices him now. Nolan, yeah. But what's his surname? Nolan North, Nolan something. Anyway, yeah. He's voiced so many iconic characters. And this whole voice acting strike that's on at the moment, for people like me that love stories in their games, I mean, that's bad news for me. It's great if you play COD because there's not as much of it in COD.
Well, the first biggest thing, like we mentioned, is that with that kind of strike going on, that means you think you're waiting longer for games now? Yeah, you'll be waiting even more. Games every day they don't satisfy that strike is that much longer you got to wait for your game.
Games take a lot longer to make the movies, so we noticed the knock-on effect from the Hollywood strike, the actor and writer strike. We noticed that probably it was at least 6 months or so before it hit us on the screen, right? At least. So with games, you'd be like, well, you might see a year or two down the line that you'll notice this knock-on effect.
Yeah, depends on what's in the pipeline and what was done.
Yeah. GTA 6 is not affected, thankfully. We hear that, thank God.
Yeah.
I will buy that game, Gray, and I won't double dip this time. I refuse to.
Well, you and 200 other million people will be buying it.
Some people would want to wait until it came out on PC, but they're not doing PC in day one. And excuse my French, it's because they're money grabbing arseholes. I'm sick of it. They could make a copy at the same time, but they want people to buy 2 copies. I know they make most of their money from the consoles. I know they do, but that's
crazy.
I'm not a fan of that. So But
I
anyway,
mean,
yeah.
there's plenty of people that'll buy it on PC too.
I'm not one of them. No way. Scythe says PC will probably be 1 to 2 years after console launch. Yeah, was it not that last time? GTA 5 was 1 or 2 years after, was it not? So,
and we're still waiting for God of War Ragnarok, but supposedly that's around the corner.
Is that not? I thought that came out in PC. Is it not in PC yet? No. Okay.
Ragnarok?
No, I thought it was.
I don't think Ragnarok's out yet.
Is it not before the end of the year? I'm sure they announced a release date for it. They did.
I don't know. I'll have to check. I don't know if they actually announced the date yet. They just keep on saying soon.
Oh, okay.
Whatever that means. I'll look it up.
But yeah, so I love voice acting in my games. I love a story. This is probably why I like a lot of Sony games when they brought them, and that's probably why Sony don't bring their games out to PlayStation Game Pass, because they cost too much. I generally love the Sony games for the stories that they tell, and I know they're not everyone's cup of tea. I love them, and I'm not willing to wait until they come out on PC.
Oh, but let me make a happy, quick announcement. Apparently, God of War Ragnarok will come to PC September 19th.
See, I did tell you it was before the end of the year. I remember them releasing.
So we only have a month and a little more than a month.
No wonder. I've already played
cool.
it, so I'm not double dipping.
I know I couldn't wait, so I played it on PS5, which is rare for me. But still. It? Yeah, I'm gonna get it for PC. Sure.
Are you double dip?
The thing, but what I'll probably do is I'll look for a save file, because that way I'll just go back.
Oh, great! What's the point? What is the point?
I'll just go back. No, I'm just gonna go back and replay missions, and stuff. No, I don't. I don't like to go through any game a second time. Generally, the only one that I think that I probably will go through a second time is the remake of Dead Space, because they did actually do a lot to it and change things. So that one won't seem as if I'm totally doing something the same again, thankfully. But that doesn't happen very often. So, but I don't think I've ever I don't think I've ever played in my life played a game a second time all the way through.
Same.
I've gone back and played missions, but not just going through the whole thing again.
There's too many games to play. Like I don't knock anyone that does this, but I don't understand why someone would go back and play a game again when there's so many games to play. And it's my age-old argument of there's always something to play.
There's some people that are into replays, man. Replay. I'm like, wow. Look at the people on what was it? Starfield, right? The big thing about Starfield that they did that I admit is kind of different or whatever is that when you complete the game on, I think Game Plus or whatever they call it, it gives you a different outcome. And then if you keep doing it over and over again, it gives you another different universe outcome every single time. Yeah. And there are people that actually have played the game like 10, 20, 30 times all the way through to get to the end and see every outcome that they can possibly see. It is pretty cool. It is unique, but I'm not playing through the whole game 20 to 30 times just to see the last part. Mm-hmm. That could be different. I'm sorry. I'm waiting for somebody to put it all on one big video on YouTube. Then I can go like, oh yeah, that looks pretty cool.
I'm in the exact same bandwagon as Scythe. There's far too many games to play. Like for those that will say, there's nothing out at the moment. There's nothing for me to play. I'll go look at your Steam library. Look at your Epic Games library. I don't want to play any of that. Well, why did you buy it or redeem it then?
Games that I'm going to go through later.
Why did you
just tells you
buy it or redeem it if you don't want it? You don't want to play it. Like I don't know. Anyway, so finishing off the Destiny 2 stuff. So I'm enamored by the story at the moment. I'm really, really enjoying it. The problem being is because I didn't play a lot of the last DLC Beyond Light. All I know is the big bad is a guy called the Witness, right? And you see him. He looks the part. He's a big, tall, skinny, white-looking guy, and his head is literally got smoke coming from it. But coming from that smoke are like floating heads. It's as if his head is evaporating, and there's many copies. It's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. They've done a good job on him. And he's this is supposed to be tying up all the story arcs, so I don't know what they're doing after this one with Destiny 2, because this is supposed to be bringing this element to an end. And obviously the big good in the game is the thing called the Traveler, which is that big orb, that big white orb that you see near the Tower Grey when you played it a few times in the past. That's what gives you all your powers. That's what gives your little ghost, the little floaty mechanical robot-y thing. It's what gives it its power. So that when you die, it has the power to bring you back. And then you have the light within you from the Traveler, and you can do cool shit and blah, blah, blah. I'm always a Titan, by the way. I got this question from Scythe or someone the other day, what character do you go? And I always go to Titan because the other two characters are just too skinny and too malleable for me. And yeah, I want to be the big solid dude. I want to be the big tough striker guy with a big hammer.
I don't remember it's been so long. I don't remember what I did. I might have went. I don't know if I went the Titan route or not.
Really?
I might have.
You went swinging. I'm not sure. You went swinging, Greg. Good man. See, great nose.
I mean, that's another thing with replayability, be it Destiny or whatever. If you're sticking with one character and you want to switch to a different one just to be different, I hardly ever do that too. Only because, again, it's kind of like you did the whole game with the one character, and it is cool to go back and play another character, but not the whole game again. Yes. Is there any game out there that, and maybe this is something that could be done one day, unless it has been. What if you were to take another character, learn the character just for something different, and then go back and replay missions, not replay the whole game, replay missions with the new character? See, now that I would do if it was possible.
Say that again.
So in other words, if I'm playing, we'll say the Titan or whatever role in Destiny 2, but I always wanted to play XYZ role, right, but I'm not going to go back and do all that over again, right? It would be cool if you could actually have a way where you would be able to switch to a different role or different character, learn it like through maybe, I don't know, training missions or something, just to get used to what the character can do, the new character can do that you never played. But then instead of playing the whole game over, you could actually just replay certain missions which you remember doing as the other class and play it with the new class. And that way you wouldn't have to play the whole game over again. If somebody ever implemented something like that, I think that would be pretty cool. Because there's a lot of other games that, I wanted to try the sorcerer role, but I didn't want to do that first. I wanted to do a different role. Like I tend to fall more in towards the ranger role or the assassin role, but I always wanted to play the other roles, but I'm not going through the whole stupid game again. So if they actually were able to let you have another character, train them up a little, and then just go back and replay missions, I'd do it in a heartbeat. That would be fun.
You get 3 characters that you can go, 3 different classes. So what I done at the very start was I would play all 3 characters. So that'd be my main game at the time. So I would literally play the same missions with 3 different characters with 3 different skill sets because I loved it that much. And then I just got bored of that. I didn't have the time in life for that, so I just chose one. I stuck with the Titan, and well, he's pretty cool because he's usually the strongest. To be fair, he's not the most nimble, and he doesn't do the invisible cloak stuff and all that. But he's pretty cool. So, at the moment, there's a lot of content. The cost of this DLC is usually something like £30 or £40. It's not a AAA game in its own right, but it's a chunky DLC. I obviously, of course, get it cheaper elsewhere, always. And I got the season pass, which I don't always do because I got it cheaper as well. I very rarely get season passes, but I get it on games that I generally enjoy. Evening, Trub. Hello, my man. Thank you for jumping in and saying hello. Trub Shaw,
hey,
one of our folks on the Discord who's been with us for a long, long time. Appreciate your support, mate. And the story at the moment, I don't know if I'll actually get to face off against the big bad at the end. I hope. Usually what happens in the DLCs is you get to face the big bad at the end, but you either A, don't completely kill it, like it disappears, or you do kill it and it comes back for the raid. Now, for those that don't know, it's many games out there have got it, and Destiny's not the first and it won't be the last to have it. Raid mechanic where pretty much it's like a strike in Destiny, but you play it with up to 6 other people in total, and it's multiple levels like jammed into one, multiple different sections of different degrees of difficulty. It's not easy to do. You have to have good communication with people. So I used to do raids back in the day on the PS4 when I first started Destiny 2. And and you need to play with people that you know, because comms are important. You need to do your research. You need to actually use your brain for puzzle stuff. That's why I'm shit at them, because when I play video games, I don't want to use this. I want to use this and this. You know, hold my fingers up for keyboard mouse here. I don't want to have to use my brain. But you have to think, you have to talk.
Well, I mean, you are using your brain, but I get it.
You are in a different way, though. So I want to be able to relax.
The puzzle things can get old if they get too much. Yeah.
After a long day of work, I just want to come back and chill and not go, what puzzle or dungeon am I going to solve tonight? Nope. If that's you, kudos, you've got more patience than me. So you'll need to do all this in a raid, and then each section gets harder and harder. But at the end of each section, you get a chest or some loot, and it ranks you up. And that's the top tier loot. You know, that is the high end loot that you want, that makes your light level in the game really, really high, which is your overall score for when you put certain guns and armor pieces into place. It will give you your overall score. And then the boss at the end of that is usually the one that you couldn't quite defeat at the end of the DLC, but he's solid, or she or it is solid, and it needs you all together. And you can't just batter it. It'll be in waves. Like, you'll have to go and knock its shield down by going killing these guys over here and solving that puzzle and shining a light and blah, blah, blah. Then you can hit them for a while, shield goes up, and you do rinse and repeat. So I don't know if I'll get round to the raid side of things, because I don't know enough people in our community that play it with us, and you need most of that 6 people filled with people that you know. There are mechanics in the game where you can go and join fire teams and they can join you. They're a lot better than they used to be. But still, unless you know them and you haven't went away and done the research yourself, you're kind of screwed. I have no clue how big this DLC is. If I've got more DLC to play, I don't know. But I just know at the moment I'm really enjoying it. And they brought out a seasonal event, a Solist event, summer Solist or some kind of Solist event, revolved around the sun, I don't know. But I was playing that when the boys were on Discord last night playing Once Human. I was having great fun with that. That is like a mini strike in a mini area. It's for those Destiny fans out there, it's very similar to the EDC, the Earth type map at the start, but they've repurposed some of it so that you can actually travel around the rooftops and stuff of it now. And that's a lot of fun because it's got its own unique set of armor, weapons that you can win. What I'm not a big fan of is PvP in that game, Gray. It can be a bit like COD. So you've got your multiplayer element where you can go into the Crucible and just play against players. And I'm not really up for that. I mean, I'm okay at it, but it's not enjoyable.
I don't like it either. The only ones I liked was multiplayer when everybody was fighting one big bad.
Yes, that's cooperative, which
fine.
is strikes and raids and stuff. Yeah. You get that when you play strikes and this, and I don't have a problem with that. So, I mean, I'm having a lot of fun so far. I'll probably report back when I've finished it to give my overall opinion on it. I know I touched on it briefly a few weeks ago, but I'd barely just started playing it, and I just wanted to give my initial opinion, but I'm really enjoying myself so far, so long may it continue. Gray, you got some
I got one quick question, though.
Oh, yeah, a question.
On Destiny. Because Destiny 3 may or may not be farther off than one would want it to be, do you think that Destiny 2, if they kept going with DLCs, still holds up and would be okay for a while?
Yes, if they bring out the same content as the final shape, because it still looks nice on screen. My PC handles it like a champ, and it should do. It's powerful enough PC. I can max out my frame rate on a 4K. But graphics are not everything, as we know. It's a part of it. Look at an example Gray and I use is Star Trek Online. The Gray and I, for those that don't know, and there'll be a few out there, we are massive Trekkies, and we've both tried Star Trek Online more than once. The problem with that game is the graphics in space when you're in the ship and the ship battles are very decent, actually. I didn't even say good. They're really, really good. Mechanics are really good. As soon as you go on a planet and you do planet-side missions, you want to throw up because you're like, what janky shit is this that I'm watching and playing? It's not nice. It's not pleasant. And the running mechanics and stuff are awful. It's like two separate games almost, Gray, dare I say. If they kept it in space, like Bridge Commander or something, we're on to a winner. So it could go. Yes, the answer to your question is it could keep going, and it will have to keep going because they have put the rumored Destiny 3 under a different name on the back burner, which sucks. But that's all right. As long as it's good, I'll keep playing it. That's fine. Gray, you got some cool gaming tech news to tell us about.
Yeah, we talked last podcast about lossless scaling because they'd gotten to a point where the software is better on the latency problems and is not something that pulls a lot of resources from your computer, and you're able to do 2 to or 3 times the frame rate, no matter what you're playing. Yes, it would be amazing. It is amazing for old games because old games were never made to have that high FPS. But you can do it with this. So it was pretty wild. But no sooner did we finish talking about it last week, whereas now all of a sudden they continue to work on the software. And apparently now they've got it up to 4 times FPS mode. And I'm going like, nah, really? And so I was reading up on it, and they said that there's on their Discord, their official Discord, you can find a Cyberpunk 2077 video that showcases this. So supposedly, although it's not out yet, it's close, and we'll be able to actually download the newest version of this and get 4 times the frame rate. And I'm just like, wow, man. I mean, this is such good stuff for everybody. And that would actually, at 4 times, probably would actually beat DLSS in terms of just frame rate. Because DLS cannot do quad framing, and this is doing quad or 4 times no matter what you're playing. So generally speaking, it's going to come down to your monitor though, and this is according to what they're saying. This is where a higher hertz monitor comes handy. Mine happens to be 240. Did I originally intend to have a 240 hertz? No, but the deal I got on it was so good that was an added benefit. So I just said, yeah, cool, man, 240, I'll take it. And now it seems like having a 240 when you're getting to the point where you're getting 3 times frame rate, 4 times frame rate is actually very handy and will actually allow the software to work even better. But I just can't believe it. I didn't think they were even bothering with 4 times. So can you imagine a game that you're playing now that you're getting like, at least minimum 60 frames, and you wanted to always, you'd like to get 100 if you could and stuff. Now you can get 240. Without a problem, apparently.
Oh, great! They're actually. I read a headline. Didn't read the actual article. Read a headline saying they'll be bringing out, if they haven't already, 1,000 hertz monitor, or was it 700? See, they're 700 or 1,000, something like that. That's
amazing.
And people are like, "How are you going to get it to run that high?" You'll have to run a really old game and crank out. I mean, basically, it's going to be Doom, isn't it? Doom's like the most optimized, well-placed game. Everyone uses Doom Eternal.
It's always.
That's
the one game that I always, when people tell me like, well, it's hard to optimize a game, I said, well, then learn what the hell they did with Doom then. How did Doom do it? I mean, their game is so unbelievably optimized. It's just hands down the best.
That is ridiculous.
So whatever they're doing, everybody should be copying them.
Look at Comic, man. Comic, that Solitaire will look amazing on 1,000 hertz.
Yeah, great.
It'll be that quick, Comic, that you'll finish the game before you've even flicked a card. Done.
The funny thing is, if lossless scaling favors the higher hertz monitors, which is a good thing, I'm just lucky in my case. But I don't know if you're going 500, 700, 900, 1,000. I mean, unless you're an e-gamer that's in the twitching world where every tiny little thing matters, why would you want one that high?
At the twitching world. I mean, is that what you said?
I mean, what I'm talking about is not twitching, streaming, but you know what I mean? They're literally, I thought it was a joke at first. Their face is about 6 inches from the monitor. And I thought that was a joke. And until I saw people doing it. I'm sitting there going like, seriously? I mean, can you imagine? I mean, 6 inches from the monitor is really, I mean, that's close, man.
That's taking the piss. That's what that is. No, to be fair, we discussed this last week, and then obviously we found this article, which was, making it. It's a really cool thing to have, and I don't believe it costs much at all from Steam. It's a good option to have. It's probably beating at least AMD for me, but I would always well, I'll not knock this, Gray, but I'll always stick with my DLSS because it's hardware based. It's got dedicated chips on the GPU to handle that, and DLSS 3.7 along with FrameGem still pisses over anything in competition wise. Don't get me wrong, that these things are catching up and they're closer, and that's good for competition. I know there's things that count against it, like you can only use it with an NVIDIA card, and then DLSS 3.0 and up is only in a 4000 series NVIDIA card. Right. So am I pissed off and angry at that? No. If you've got the biggest one at the party, you're allowed to swing, and it's your rules, right? As far as I'm concerned, that's reasonable.
I mean, I have a 4000 series as well, and I do use DLSS and FrameGen on a couple games, so I'm happy with it. But the nice thing is that if I ever wanted to mess around just to see if I can get the 4 times, it's just a geeky kind of thing. Yeah, I'll try it. But I imagine all the people that, because, let's put it, there's a lot of skint people out there that can't afford, can barely afford a 3000 series card, let alone a 4. So now this gives them new life in terms of being able to get the frame rate that they want. They may not be able to get certain other things, but the frame rate has been the one thing that has dragged them down, and now they don't have to worry about it anymore. So it's kind of like, it's great.
It's I would probably consider buying that actually, because as a developer, a game developer, you have to specifically implement DLSS. AMD's version, what's that called again?
FSR.
FSR, thank you. Yeah, but they've got other things out as well. Game developers need to implement that into games, whereas this just runs, and like we said before, it runs in older games really, really well, because these older games won't have had these technologies from AMD and NVIDIA put into them. So then that's when you run this bit of software and it's absolutely grand. So I might get that, because some older games won't have this stuff on it, Gray. And that's why it's a great idea to buy it. Do you want it? Can you do me a favour, mate, unless you know this off the top of your head? Can you search on Steam for the app, if you haven't bought it already, to get a cost for the people? Give me an idea.
For Lossless Scaling?
The cost, it's an app in Steam, I believe.
I bought it. It was $7 USD.
$7 USD, so £5, £5 something.
Yeah, I mean, how can you go wrong? I mean, you're spending $70 on a game, which is, again, we don't want to talk about that.
I don't.
You can surely afford to spend $7 and get this. I mean,
I don't pay 70 for a game, or 60.
I know.
Pounds. And neither does Gray.
Right. I have now. Have I paid full price? Yes, occasionally, but rarely. I'll wait for sales. I'll get it from another way, countries, or whatever. I'll take the holidays.
You go on holiday as well, Gray. You don't even have your passport expired. That's genius. That's how you manage
amazing.
That. Yeah.
But I think the only games I paid twice actually with full price was when Doom came out in 2016 and the next Doom. I couldn't help it. I just said yeah, and I just bought it. I didn't even think twice about it. But that's a rare thing.
What did you say?
Yeah. Yep. I don't. Do you have it on? Because otherwise, no one heard that.
Of course they did.
Good.
Heard it.
So, I mean, I did pay full price for God of War. That was one of the exceptions, and Horizon Forbidden West. But to me, those are ace games that I don't regret it. I wasn't maybe thoroughly happy about paying that price, but then we're talking about when it used to be, $50, $60. Now it's like nothing's below 70. And I'm like, man, I mean,
there is. That's for consoles, mate. It's consoles that charge that.
No, I understand that, but that's going to be PC. I mean,
it's not. PC's always been less. It's the most expensive PC game is $60 or £60.
Right, but I got a funny feeling that they're just doing that because they can talk about how they're only paying $60. But
they don't need physical media as well. So it cost them less.
No, I understand, but you watch. You're going to see $64.99 come soon,
maybe,
and then it'll just
but the console games will go up to 75. Then the next gen will be 80. I mean, I'm not too angry about that. Gray, inflation's a thing, mate. If they go 7 years and they don't put the price up, come on, be reasonable.
I guess
$10 every 7 years, not too shabby.
The only problem is then you're going to be, and then rightfully so, you're going to be demanding the quality that it needs to have. I mean, and developers had better be on their ball because they haven't been lately.
It's got a AAA game or quadruple.
Right. So if I'm going to sit there and pay the $70 or $80, man, that game better be relatively flawless. You know, I mean, generally speaking.
What Mercian's saying there, no license to pay for PC games. Well, you got to you've got to still pay Steam the 30%. This is why. This is my little. I'll try and keep this brief. Bitch, moan, complain about the devs behind Once Human, right? I believe it's a Chinese company. I have no clue what they're called. I apologize. My little beef with that was it's on Steam. It's free to play. No issues with that. You get the odd patch you need to download for the game. But then when you go into the game, but I'm ready to play, let's go. 8 gig patch within the game. Why not put it on the Steam launcher at the front? I mean, does that cost you more? Is that the tier you need to pay money for? Because I have mobile broadband, despite living the center of the capital.
Well, one good example of it, even though I really like the game, is Once Human, because I go into the game like you're saying, and all of a sudden it's downloading an 8 gig patch. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute.
Great, you've got gigabit and Ethernet. I've broadband. I've got 150 meg in a really
even worse for you, right? Even worse for you.
Yeah. So,
but I think you're 100% right. Why? It's always been like that. Why are you messing with it now? And all of a sudden, it's you're changing it up.
I reckon it's something to do with what they pay to Valve. So if you're a free to play game and you don't really need to use much of their services, I potentially you can go on their server and use them for free or very little. Right? It's when you start then maybe. Wanting to run all these patch updates through them and whatnot, then they'll start charging you for it, because the DLC, not the DLC, is it? No, it's the season pass. I don't know if they'll take a cut of that. I would imagine they would. I would imagine they would, because it does run through Steam.
I would think.
So I don't know why they're doing that. I tried to say something in their Discord and got no response. It's annoying because I want to play that game and then I've got a 20-minute wait or something before I download that. So I sacked it off and I went and played Destiny, and I'm glad I did.
Oh, by the way, so I noticed this, and I even read this online. I meant to ask you about it. Did you notice, and I'm assuming you have, when you play Once Human, a lot of the not a lot, but there's a certain percentage of the interfaces, especially when you're crafting weapons and stuff, that they use the same colors and structure as Destiny 2. Did you ever notice that?
No, but that wasn't that wasn't the game that was copying it. It was that.
No, but Once Human, if you go back during, I'll have to take some screenshots. But when I saw it pop up, and I was doing some things in my weapons or whatever to armor and things like that, I saw this pop up, and I'm going like, seen this somewhere before, and then I'm going like, ding, Destiny 2, and then somebody mentioned it online. It was almost like they took the models of some of the stuff and used. I mean, I'm telling you, it looks almost exactly like some of the stuff they use in Destiny 2.
See, the thing is with that is there are databases that game developers can use that are universal. So whatever engine you're using, Unreal, Unity, whatever, it's a massive product grade, these things, when you get the engine in. And it's not really the old days of having to code the way you used to. It's a lot of GUI work. It's a lot of dragging stuff and game design more than it is coding. And these engines come with massive catalogs of assets. And there'll be, there's trees in there. And because people know that when they copy games, I'm like, oh yeah, you copied those games you took them from the Unity database or whatever. I can tell that tree a mile away. I didn't know that until you told me that, because while I haven't seen that, the consideration of copying actually came from the First Descendant, which is another free-to-play game which I've got downloaded, I haven't played yet. That's supposed to be ripping Destiny big time, a lot of the assets, and they actually had to go in and change it. Think Pal World to Pokemon. Think that.
Yeah.
It was that kind of level, to the point where they actually went in and changed some things, or they're going to change some things to actually stop them taking the piss.
I mean, to me, though, I kind of welcomed it in Once Human. Yes, it does look a lot like what they use in Destiny 2, but I like what they use in Destiny 2. I've always liked some of those things, and I was going like, wow, it'd be kind of cool if they did that in other games, because it reads better, it looks better, and when it popped up on Once Human, I was going like, oh, okay.
Gray, why
I
does
began
your
thinking like, is it the same developer? And I'm like, no, it's not the same developer. So,
why is your alarm going off in the middle of a podcast? Is that to go and take your tablets?
no.
Why?
I forget to turn some of them off. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'll put it on silent, and that way I won't hear them and then forget everything.
Yeah, you got to be professional. We got to be professionals. We can't be using Riverside shortly and having alarms go off in the middle of the bloody podcast.
I was edited out.
I appreciate we went on massive tangents there, but that's kind of what we do. It's kind of our stick.
Yeah.
I'm going to download that Lossless Scaling at some point. I am going to stick to my DLSS because sometimes in some games you'll get given the choice of what to use, right? Lossless Scaling will never be in there because it's software. I just trust a hardware solution over software. For me, and people may disagree, you never beat a hardware solution over a software solution. You've got physical horsepower that you can throw at it. Now, that's when you get the two to play together, like Apple, with their software and their silicon playing well together. It just makes them world beaters.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so Lossless Scaling, it's an app via Steam you can download for about $7, about £5. Highly recommend it. Nice boost at the moment. One quick bit of game news I've got before I go into the second thing was Enshrouded has hit 30 million players total now, which absolutely blows my mind for such a cheap free-to-play game that Gray and I and many others have absolutely adored, and I've completed it as far as I can so far. Are you surprised, Gray? Are you not surprised?
I didn't think it was that big. I'm not really surprised, but I didn't think it was that large. I was like, wow, that's pretty good. Because, you tend to hear how they have the millions of players and then it kind of dies down and then it kind of levels out and that's about it, which is very good. Yep. But yeah, 30 million is like, wow. And they've maintained that apparently for a good while. So I'm like,
well, no, 30 million total people have played it. Concurrent players on Steam. Concurrent players are on Steam. Doesn't say, but I mean, some interesting facts.
Well, that's just Steam, though.
Is it on other platforms, or that I'm not aware of?
Is it? Oh, I don't know.
No, I don't know. I think it's just Steam.
Okay.
Almost 700,000 players have reached the maximum level of 25. Impressive.
Wow.
Since January this year, over 90 million hours of Enshrouded have been played.
90 million hours. Holy smokes. Wow.
Oh, wow. That's just...
Hey, look, man, Enshrouded is a great game. There's no doubt about it. And I've already been dabbling on the new stuff that they've thrown in, and I haven't finished the little bit they put in, but I can't wait till they really they've been doing some good little patches here and there and extending the map a bit, but obviously they're working on one bigger boom, which they haven't said when that's coming. But, but the game is great. The game is really good.
There's a roadmap if you want to go and check it out, people, because they have more content coming for the rest of the year, and it's been planned, this roadmap, into 2025 as well. So just to give you a kind of, I like some of these interesting facts, continuing them on. Even since January this year, there've been 3 million players alone to have played it, new players alone, which is absolutely blows the mind. And the number just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. There's been 3 major updates, which is absolutely bonkers. 14 patches and 16 hotfixes. They are looking after this game pretty well, so keep it going. I haven't removed it. It's still installed, so until the next thing comes.
It's a game recently. That I will definitely keep continuing to go back to, no doubt.
Yeah,
it's that much fun, and it's nice to be able to have a game that you really look forward to the next thing coming out.
Yeah,
that's the kind of thing is good when you can't wait for the next, whatever it is. So yeah, that's great. Really is.
Found that interesting, and I also found this interesting. I take this with a large pinch of salt, and those that people know as soon as I start saying this, the rumored Half-Life 3 game that's they're never going to be. It's kind of nuts where this rumor comes from, really. They were working on a project called White Sands. Now, this comes from someone that done some, I want to say, voice acting for Valve, and it's on their resume, right? Their CV.
I mean, it wasn't data mining this time?
No, for once it's not. No hacks either, I'm aware of. And it was just titled as White Sands. Now, people didn't automatically put two and two together, but White Sands is an area in the game, in the Half-Life game, which, if you know the game, you'll know that one well. And people are putting two and two together, figuring out what this is what they're working on. Now, I'm looking at a screenshot here at the moment, which I don't know what it's from. I assume it's from one of the older games, but it does look good. I mean, this is the thing with Half-Life 1 and 2. They always look great for their time because of this source engine. Like, that source engine they used was one of the first kind of engines, if not the first, that relied heavily on physics. So you would shoot something and it would explode and knock something else off and blah, 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 and that's why that game Portal came from, which I hate because it is my worst nightmare, Puzzle Central. Nope, not doing it. But
that was one of the only games I actually did like, and I don't think I ever completed it, but I got about two-thirds or three-quarters of the way through.
Did you? Yeah.
But that's rare because I don't tend to just flat out grab a puzzle game. No, it had some elements in it that were funny and humorous, so I kind of kept going with it.
Yeah, but it's classic, isn't it? This is, of course, a heavy rumor. Valve denies such a thing. I doubt we'll ever see it, and I'm really confused as to why. Because if Half-Life 3 ever came out, I swear to God it would break the internet. There's only one other game that can equal it for breaking the internet. And I'm not saying beating it, I'm saying equaling the breakage of the interwebs. And that's GTA 6. Half-Life is right up there. I mean, it's one of the iconic games of PC gaming of all time. And it's obviously out on consoles and stuff as well, but absolutely massive. Like when Half-Life Alyx came out, I bought a VR headset just to play it. And Half-Life Alyx is the best VR game by a country mile. It looks great, it plays great. It's just so good to be back in that universe again. I don't know what it is. I mean, there's a remake of the first game out called Half-Life Black Mesa. Think of Fallout London.
It's a mod.
No, it's an actual separate game. So think of Fallout London, but instead of modding the original game, they got permission from Valve, these fans, to just make it. And I don't know how the monetary value thing works out. I can't remember if it was free or you paid for it, but it remasters the first game and looks and sounds and plays so much better. It is great how they managed to touch this up, make it look better. But it's got a whole universe behind it, lore, everything. It's just the G-Man. If you know, you know, the creepy guy with a suitcase at the end. It looks like he's been squashed. Absolutely brilliant. I doubt it'll happen. And I don't know why they wouldn't bring it out, because it's a no-brainer. It'd make them so much money. But I think the problem here is, Gray, Valve are so rich via Steam that they don't need to bring it out. They bring out the odd game project, that's it. It's a shame, because they're not really, there's an emphasis on making games anymore, which sucks. But anyway.
I mean, I wouldn't, from reading that article a little bit, I wouldn't doubt that they could quite possibly have been working on this for a while. They can keep things pretty quiet over there.
They can, yeah.
I mean, when Half-Life Alyx came out, we found out about that late.
Yeah.
And then it seemed like it came out like right after. Well, you know, I mean, in terms of how fast it was after the announcement.
Here's a question for you. Do you prefer to just hear about a game just before it's about to come out? Like, say, give it enough time for like advertising and marketing and hype, like say 3 months or 6 months or something, then it comes out? Or would you like them to give you like a Comic-Con, maybe not Comic-Con, but you know, like a gaming equivalent of it, like a Summer Games Fest or something? Would you like a little trailer or a tease a year or two before?
I would say if it was my wanting of the perfect world when it comes to that kind of stuff in gaming, I wouldn't want to know more than a year in advance. A year I can kind of put up with, see a trailer and go like, okay, it's coming. Cool, you know, and I don't have really that long to wait per se. But when they do like 2 years or 3 years, or they jokingly do like the Elder Scrolls, 6, and they announce it like years ago and don't do anything, give me a break. I mean, it's just like, come on,
Yeah.
I don't I don't want to know. It's too many years away. But saying that, I can remember hearing about Star Wars Outlaws, which we're going to talk about in a second, when they first started talking about it, and all of a sudden the time seems to have flown by, and the game is going to be coming out at the end of the month. So I don't know.
I think,
but I would rather a year. That's the most.
So you're a halfway house. You're in between then. So you would like to get a little bit of a teaser before, so you know what's going on. But maybe not do it 2-3 years in advance, where literally you've got a quick CGI teaser that's nothing to do with what's actually in the game. I'm not opposite from you, but I'm in a different direction. I would like to hear about it. They'll never tell you. They'll never, very rarely shadow drop a big game. They'll shadow drop smaller games because they won't advertise them as much, but they'll never shadow drop a big game. So you'll get at least 3 or 6 months notice it's coming out. I would rather have that, mate, because then I get excited and hyped, and I don't have to wait ages for it. It's just being a game tease, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
What I find happens when I see articles about, they'll come out and say, oh, there's a new, whatever game coming. And I'm going like, oh, cool. And I look at the article and go, well, don't expect it anytime soon. It'll be at least 3 years. I close the article like in a second.
Especially it's Bethesda. If it's Bethesda, it's add another 0 onto the end of it.
Yeah, and then we know they'll use the old game engine again, and it'll look like crap until the modders come out. And yeah. Same old story.
Don't do it. Right, so moving on. We might not have time to cover everything, but that's never a bad thing. You have some gaming news yourself, Mr. Gray. You crack on now.
Yeah, I was touching upon it, Star Wars Outlaws, and I've been waiting for this for a long time. I'm a fan of most things that Ubisoft does. I play a bunch of their games like Division 2 and, of course, all the Assassin's Creeds and everything, which is coming also in November. So when I heard the announcement way back that Ubisoft was going to attempt a true open world, large, exploring all kinds of things to Star Wars, and of course now we know it's Star Wars Outlaws, I was excited when I first heard about it, and then I basically tuned out until it got closer to when things are happening. They did come out with a demo a couple months ago. I did see some stuff from it. Most people at the time that were allowed to even play the demo were basically saying like, it's definitely got some good stuff in it, but I'm hoping to see more. So now apparently they released another demo, again mostly for people in the gaming world when it comes to the magazines and whatnot that cover this stuff. And this one particular person was able to play the newest demo that they're allowing him to take, and he was like totally turned around from the first one, and he said he really is liking it now. And from what I'm hearing, it's going to be something more like I was hoping for in a type of open world, and that is that your character, Kay, I believe her name is going to be pretty much allowed to go all over the map, go exploring, find new things, collect stuff, and do all kinds of crazy things. I love to sit there and just go out and explore. You never know what you're going to find. So you're going to be allowed to do that. You can take side jobs. You can take regular missions. You can spend as much time as you want exploring. Don't explore at all. I mean, whatever you want. And it's got some interesting little twists to the game. Like there's I don't remember the name of the little critter that follows with you, Nyx. Yeah. And apparently Nyx is going to be your companion, kind of like on Star Wars when we've always seen the little robot thing, the cute little robots that run around with you that do certain things. Well, Nyx is going to be able to do things in the game which sound pretty cool, because you can sit there and you can tell it what to do, like go over there and sneak past this guy and hit a button or drop this or do that. But the cool thing that I saw in the game was that you can have Nyx do these things or have Nyx do nothing. So I just thought maybe like, wow, so if you actually had a chance to sit there and tell it what to do, to the extent of being able to do a lot, a little, or nothing at all, is perfect. Because in a lot of games, you tell the character to do something, you're stuck. The character's going to do this one thing. But apparently, you're going to be able to tell it to do a lot of different things if you want. And I hear the speeder action from my reading is really great, flying through the world and stuff. It just really sounds like it's finally going to be, somewhere along the lines of some of the great open world maps that you've seen in Assassin's Creed and Division and other things like that, where in a Star Wars game. So I'm really expecting a lot out of it. So I'm hoping that when I do play this and it's coming out August 30th, that I'm not going to get disappointed, because I try not to set my expectations too high, but I've read too much about this and have been too excited about what I've seen and what I've heard. And And I know a lot of people out there are like me because they've been waiting for something like this. So I really am expecting a lot. And one other thing that Trev had sent me that I took a look at here was their season pass roadmap, which I didn't even know they came out with. So they're definitely dedicated to putting out more material, same way as they do a lot with the Assassin's Creed game, where they come out with sometimes too many DLCs. But in any case, by the way, I'm not spoiling anything, but Jabba the Hutt is in the game. And people are like going like, ooh, who else is going to be in it? From what I'm hearing, take this with a grain of salt. The rumors are that there's going to be other heroes that we know appearing in the game. However, they didn't say necessarily that it was going to be some of the top heroes we've heard, like, Luke or Han or, whatever. That doesn't mean it's impossible that they wouldn't make an appearance, but they're talking about more of the secondary characters that we know and have enjoyed, that they are going to be popping up in cameos here and there. The rumor is Lando Calrissian is going to be in it somewhere. Now, it takes place between episode 5 and 6 of Star Wars, which technically is the first 3 movies that were released, if you remember. So between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, that's the time frame, more or less, which is cool because that was a good time. So that also kind of makes it more exciting. So in this particular roadmap, they're going to have an exclusive mission called Jabba's Gambit, where obviously they're going to feature Jabba exclusively. They're going to have their usual character packs and, bundles that you can buy, better weapons, cosmetics, and everything. Sometimes I go for the cosmetics if they're cool, but I won't go for cosmetics unless it's really outstanding looking to me. Otherwise, I don't even bother. And apparently their first DLC is going to be called Wild Card, so they're already talking about this now. They don't have a particular date, but they're saying fall of 2024. Fall of 2024 puts it at pretty soon, because if the game is coming out August 30th, that means they're going to be doing the first DLC like in 2 months, possibly.
Yeah.
Could be a wee bit later, but And then they're saying the second one is going to be called A Pirate's Fortune, and that's going to be coming out spring of 2025. So they've got quite a roadmap, and if I know Ubisoft, these DLCs are already done, or almost or near finished.
I thought EA had the license to Star Wars. I'm confused.
Yeah, because what it was is they were allowed to do what they more or less what they wanted to, but they had to pick their time frame and what they wanted to do, and things had to be okayed from Lucasfilm. But I think it was something that Lucasfilm would be stupid to turn down, because if they want to come to you with a game like that, knowing their Ubisoft's pedigree on making good games like this, open world stuff, they're good at it. They're very, very good at it.
Yeah.
This could be a very big game. So I am just keeping my fingers crossed that it's going to be as exciting as I'm hoping it's going to be, because there'll be many, many fun hours in this game if it all goes down the way it is. And by the way, I've also heard that immediately when it premieres, apparently, or right after, GeForce Now is going to be having the game too. And if you don't remember what GeForce Now is, for the people out there that just plain can't afford a high-end graphics card and are still working off, let's say, 2000 series cards, or they're on laptops that really wouldn't be able to perform the game at all, you could join GeForce Now. You can essentially rent, I guess if you want to call it that, a 4000 series card via the internet, and basically be able to pay the game and enjoy it this pretty much the same way we do. So that's going to be from the get-go. So now that opens up the chance for many more copies of the game to be sold and or go with Game Pass like we are. That opens up a whole nother can of worms in the world for this game. So really curious. Is it going to do something like an Enshrouded with 30 million? I don't know, but the Star Wars world is awfully big, so it's it's really hard to say. And the other exciting thing is we're getting that August 30th. We're getting Assassin's Creed Shadows in November. So we got some big games on the horizon, man, coming. So all good.
This makes sense. Why it's on Ubisoft Uplay, because I thought Gray's never going to pay that for an EA game. No way, because I was assuming that suits with, because they are the main license holders, or were for Star Wars games. But now it's coming to his beloved Ubisoft, then yeah, no wonder he's all over that, man. To be fair, I would maybe get the pass for a month and see how we go, because that's the type of game that you can't get from other sources, if you know what I mean, because of its online functionality. Like massive online, massive open world maps like that tend to be difficult to do, although not impossible. It's intriguing that it's a massive open worldwide type map. I don't recall seeing that properly, truly in Star Wars before. And while I'm not a big Star Wars nut,
not like this,
I would still be curious to check it out and see what's what. Can you imagine they done something like that, but the equivalent for Star Trek, mate? I mean, I wish that we got the same love. I really do.
Yeah, that's another story. Yeah, I mean, they're, you know as well as I do, there's only been a couple of good Star Trek games over the years, unfortunately. And Resurgence wasn't bad from a writing standpoint. It was pretty good from a graphics standpoint.
Not so good.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It worked. Let's put it that way.
That's
and stuff. But it just, I know the thing is when you're trying to compare franchises, not going on the fact of how much we like it or whatever. Obviously, Star Wars being so huge is going to get the ultimate treatment. And that's just the way it tends to be. So whatever, as long as we get something that we enjoy, it's okay. To kind of segue into what I was saying about upcoming games, the other big game that everybody's talking about is on August 20th. Black Myth Wukong is coming out for PC and PlayStation, Xbox, and all.
That looks good.
And I keep hearing lots and lots of good things about this. I mean, people are getting really jazzed about it. So that's one we're definitely going to have to take a peek at and see what it's all about. There's some other games, and I always mention a few when we do this. And again, remember, people don't realize sometimes how many games actually do come out. It's a lot. And yes, many of them, maybe even the majority of them, tend to be indies, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I think it's kind of like the underground thing that keeps the whole gaming industry going. So there's a slew of games coming out, and just to give you a few names, I'm not going to go through them all. Besides Black Myth coming on August 20th, in between now and then, you got games like the Crush House, Train Valley World, Cult of the Lamb, and Holy Alliance.
Oh, Cult of the Lamb. Yes.
Some of these names are great, though. I love it. Hidden Through Time, Level Zero, Crime Scene Cleaner.
I thought it was, at least it's not called Simulator at the end, at least. Come on.
Well, Crime Scene Cleaner means that it's a simulator, I guess. I'm guessing.
Oh,
it's a simulator of the guys that come in that clean up after, all the bad stuff has happened. So, I mean, that's what it means. So I'm going okay, that's interesting. I mean, you can pretty much find a game on anything now. There's so many simulators out there of one thing or another. Farewell North, I Am Your Beast, Phantom Spark, Sins of a Solar Empire 2, which actually is an RTS real-time strategy game. In that, I'm not a fan of that particular game, but there are people out there that love the first one. So for that one coming out, that's something to see maybe. And that's on August 15th that's coming out. So that might be something cool. For football people, Madden NFL 25 is coming out
American
on PC.
Football.
August 16th. Sorry?
American football.
I said NFL. I didn't get into the
I missed that. I think I just said football.
No. Let's see. Pawn Planet. Not sure what that is exactly.
Pawn Planet. P-O-N-G.
Pawn Planet. Like it was
a pawn. Oh, my God. Yeah. That sounds awful.
I don't know what has to do with that. But
sounds awful, mate.
And we'll go over a couple other names before. But, for people that really want to play a lot of games, probably at a really good price, you should look into something like this, or do a little quick a search on Google about game releases for the month of August, and you will see a lot of these things pop up.
Yeah.
And I've actually looked at a couple of them online, and some of them seem kind of cool. If I ever have time with all the big games coming out, I probably would want to try one or two.
See, Gray's a perfect example again of the people that say there's no games to play. Yes, there is. Open your eyes.
Well, look, it's the common joke across the entire gaming industry. I don't think there's a gaming fan out there, unless they just don't admit it, that they don't have at least a dozen games that they haven't played, if not way more than that.
Great. I think some of these people are just gaming snobs. You know what I mean by that? They're wanting to play the AAA titles or the quadruple A titles if you're
or the 5As and
yeah. Sorry, I'll always take the piss out of myself until the day I'm dead. They'll always want to play those top games. I kind of get it. Like, of course you want to play the best games, but this is part of the reason we're PC gamers. This is why the PC master race is the master race. And listen, I do enjoy playing my consoles from time to time. I got a PlayStation. I got a Switch. I enjoy that from time to time to just switch off. But PC will always be number one for me for various reasons. One of which is the games are cheaper. You get every month, you're getting free games via Prime Gaming if you're signed up with Amazon Prime. You're getting free games via Epic Games, completely free games, and it can be very decent. Or the Prime ones can be a bit shit, I won't lie. You get the odd free game via Steam, via GOG. I mean, we're laughing, and you get cheap games, and you get cheap games legitimately through key stores online and whatnot, and other illegitimate ways as well.
Let's not forget Epic giving a free game out of every week.
I'm saying Epic Games free, yeah, like every week, every month.
I don't even know. I must have 40 games at least that I've gotten to them over time.
Probably double that, man. Probably double.
Yeah, and I just don't pick up every free game. I have to like it at least some.
Well, if there's a chance I'll play it, I'll download it. If there's no chance I'll play it, people say just download it, especially if it's like the PlayStation Game Pass. They'll say, download them, you paid for that. Yeah, I did, but I'm not going to download something out of principle. I don't care that I'm saving them a bit of money. I'm never going to play it. There's no point. Oh, there is. You paid for it, but it's Mickey Mouse and Disneyland or some shit like that. I'm never going to play that. Yeah. People will call me all sorts if I try and play that game. Anyhow, right, so that's your games in August. This is... I don't think we'll have time for everything, Greg, but
that's okay.
We still get 25 minutes. I suggest we move the quiz to next week because you know the answers, so it'd just be me, and it's better if Matt was here. So you okay with that? Yeah.
Yep.
This is slightly controversial, so we'll probably have time for the hardware news and Gray's mod corner as well. Now, he's knackered me up. What are you doing? I have to scroll up now. What are you doing?
I was putting it on next week.
Right, okay. So some hardware news, some tech news. I separated it for a good reason. This was continuing on from the story we had last time as well, which was, and listen, for those that prefer just us talking about games we've played, where we've played games and its meaningful content, we'll always discuss it. But we do equally, if not more so, enjoy talking about the gaming news, the tech news, because it interests us. And if you look at other gaming podcasts as well, that's often what they actually cover, not often what games they played and go into detail with them. So, but we're always open to feedback and comments and stuff. That's what the Twitch and Discord's for, so come along.
Yep.
But yeah, the thing we talked about last week, because we do like hardware here as well, is that Intel shenanigans, Gray, where chips are oxidizing because of defects at the fab. And bear in mind, Intel make their own chips, so that's even more embarrassing. They can't blame the TMSC. Is that it?
Yeah, I always forget
Taiwan
that too. I think it's
Semiconductor Company or something. Yeah, can't blame them. Can't blame who makes their own. Samsung make their own as well. Intel. They can't blame them. It's just purely themselves. The oxidization they had as well, which can't be repaired, can only be replaced. And then the situation with their chips basically downclocking themselves because of it. Basically, the short of it is, Steve from Gamers Nexus, I actually watched this, Gray, the article you shared. Normally I wouldn't watch it.
So did I.
Because it was 7 minutes of him ranting. Now, normally I can't put up with someone most of the time ranting because it just gives me a sore head. But when, one of these things where you're like cleaning, doing chores around the house, or you're changing your bed or something, you're like, I'll stick it on, because I don't need to pay too much attention, but you're still listening.
Yeah.
And he's gone off on a rant. And listen, I like to think that I can understand any accent, speaking English, even foreign accents. I'm a good ear. And obviously, no offense, American accents are the easiest for me because you hear them the most. So it's normal for me to. but he was talking so fast.
Yeah.
Like, and I was struggling. Did you notice that? He was so angry he was talking fast. I'm like, Steve.
Yeah, I think I got a funny feeling that they did a little bit of a technical, to get that, because there's nobody
it was genuine. He was
humanly
pissed
can
off.
do that. Yeah. Oh, no.
If you know,
no, I'm
Steve,
talking about the speed that he's talking. I think was a little.
Oh yeah, he has to slow that down and calm down. Like, listen, I could talk a lot faster, and I do talk a lot faster in the old native tongue when I'm speaking to family and friends, and I've had a few sherbets, if you know what I mean. But no one would understand me. So know your audience, Steve. Slow down. Anyway, so he's telling us about what happened, and he knows his stuff because he's got a big YouTube channel. He has went after big companies before, the Asus, with them they're taking away the ROG allies that customers are sending into them and threatening to not give them back because they found a little dent on them or something that was not caused by the customer, but they refused to fix it. And remember the SD card thing overheating, they were not fixing, they were not doing RMA returns at all, which is disgusting. But Steve managed to call them out and even got a meeting with them at Computex to get it fixed. So people like him are actually fighting in the corner of the small folk like us. But then Intel came along, and they're a far bigger beast. Now, they've been caught with their pants down and their head in the sands. The head in the sand, that was a shocking pun, Greg. Get it? Sand, silicon, Intel.
Yep,
Never mind.
Silicon,
We'll maybe edit that out. It's a bad joke.
Like
so the head's in the sand, and they are up to their knees in doo-doo. There is a couple of class action lawsuits, which, Gray, I don't really know the American legal system. Is that what's a class action lawsuit?
Class action suit means that instead of like instead of one person trying to sue Intel, which means you can't afford it, class action means thousands of people, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people, are all in a sense collectively suing Intel, and so a law firm takes it up and basically speaks for the people per se. If the class action suit is won, and a couple of times I've been involved in one or two. There was a mortgage company that I was involved in, and they kept me up to date on what was going on. When they finally come to a judgment, like the company has to pay, whatever, $25 million, whatever. That's split amongst however many people are in the class action suit. So you could get a check back for like 58 cents, or maybe a check as much. The biggest one I've ever gotten was $126, which was like unusual.
Okay.
Or whatever. But the point is that if you're that bad and you win on the suit, then the company that's paying the suit is, or the action against them,
Hi, Lord,
quite a lot of money. Hi, Lord. So in this particular instance, I didn't know there was a second suit. I heard about the first one. Now, one thing that Intel did do, I'm not sitting there trying to defend them. Believe me. They did extend the warranty, like you were talking about. We were spoken of. To me, that relieved me because my chip, the first thing everybody started telling me, and Trev, you told me I didn't even know about it until you told me. I'm going like, great, I just bought this Intel chip, and now it's going to rust through my motherboard.
Great. The good news is your chip is highly likely to not see the 7. So you've got the 13700, 13900. The 700s are less likely to go Pete Tong because
I hope so.
No offense to them, they're cracking chips, but they're not packing the maximum power going through them. So they're not pushed. But this thing all comes from bad communication between Intel and motherboard manufacturers, right? This is where it stems from, right? So Intel, you could maybe argue they haven't done a hell of a lot wrong in one hand because they say to manufacturers, don't do this, do that, right? So they won't dick about with like the voltages and stuff, right? But then soon as they release the code to the motherboard manufacturers and they start dicking about with things, they won't change the voltages, but they'll change other things. They kind of don't want you, Intel, to overclock your overclockable chips. I mean, there's no point, and that's just stupid. So what motherboard manufacturers won't push that. They won't push it when they're not supposed to push it because Intel don't want you doing it despite you having the functionality to do it. So the boards won't push it. However, They are doing it more and more now. They are starting to push it more. My motherboard at the moment has a setting. I have to go in and change it. Uses AI. Bear in mind, this is AI from like 5 years ago, to automatically set a clock every time the PC comes on. So it'll maybe vary slightly. And they know people that have got the skills and the knowledge will get those unlockable chips to unlock them and overclock them. Sorry, not unlock them, overclock them and push them higher. And they'll go in and they know what to do, the motherboard grade. They know all the settings and stuff to crank up. We probably won't overclock your chip for a while, pal, just in case. I don't want to be part of making your chip melt or feel bad because I suggested the chip.
I know you and I were talking about, yeah, you should do it. And all of a sudden this comes out. I'm like, maybe you shouldn't.
You'd probably be fine. Because the thing is, right,
probably.
It's not going to melt because it's very, very hard to... No, but it's no, seriously, it's very, very hard to screw yourself over. Like back in the day, if you tried to do that, you could literally burn your whole house down. But now your PC is just likely to blue screen and reset, and it goes back to the standard settings. Very, very... You can, if you know what you're doing, go out your way and ruin your CPU, but it's so hard. So many hoops you need to go through, and you need to know what you're doing. So,
before we the Gamers Nexus video that you were talking about, which I did watch as well, I will say one thing. Even though it was a long watch, the dude did his research, man. And when you started watching some of that, this is like how can I say it?
Well, he did. He delayed all the reviews for a week, Gray, to work on that.
Oh yeah, and without trying to use this word because it's thrown around all the time, conspiracy. But the thing is, when you go back to what he was finding out, he was going back a year to a year and a half ago and more, and basically you could see the layout of what Intel was doing, and it was almost like they've been doing this on purpose for 2 years. And I'm looking at this going like, wow.
Yeah,
you're gonna be kidding. And I'm sitting there thinking it was only like, the last few months or something, but apparently it goes way back.
This is what
that makes it even more, likely that these class action lawsuits are going to nail them big time.
This is what they've been caught with your pants down and your head in the sand comment comes from. They kind of knew. So again, I touched on what I said before. They're going to argue that they didn't do a hell of a lot wrong. They told the board manufacturers what to do, what not to do, right? But you're caught between a rock and a hard place, a little bit of a grey area, because that is not sufficient enough when people can literally go in and overclock chips that are designed to be overclocked and push more power through them. They will fail. They're going to get their arse handed to them. And the thing is, when these lawsuits came along, you look at the share price and it basically turned into a slide at a fun park. Literally, or a drop in a roller coaster, just literally like that. Now, they're still worth a shit ton of money, and they'll be able to get through this because they've got enough money, but people will lose confidence in them. Even I am considering, and you know how much people say I'm an Intel fanboy, but I take offense to that comment. I loved Intel for the longest time because they were the best for gaming, and it was proven until the last AMD chip came out. It kind of wins a little bit.
I had one.
Yeah,
this. Yep.
I know, but hey, hindsight's a wonderful thing. If we had it, we'd all be rich.
Sure.
I would consider, when I do my next rebuild, probably summer next year, I might consider AMD. And I never, ever thought I would say that. I kind of hope Intel fix this so that they are 15th gen. I mean, 15th gen might still be screwed anyway because they make these things way in advance, guys. So we think that oxidization...
I don't know if this is new to you or whether you read this. This broke today, but Intel has already released their first microcode instability fix.
Yep.
I mean, literally hours ago.
It wasn't supposed to be out to the middle of August, actually. That was the next thing I was going to touch on. So that's early. That's good. Let's hope you haven't rushed to Intel. That will fix the problem at hand. But when they bring out the 15th gen chips, because they've been working on them for a while, they've already been designed and they're probably already made or almost finished making them now. They'll need microcode pushed to them as well. The oxidization problem, I can't comment too much. I would imagine that's in the same boat because they're already made. And if that's the case, that's what the 2-year extended manufacturer warranty's for.
Yeah,
so,
because they're screwed. You can't load a BIOS code to fix oxidation.
No, you
I
can't.
mean, it's going to either happen or it's not.
So Gray's got another 2 years on top of what he's already got, which is the best part of a year already. So he's good for most of the generation of his chip. Yeah. So no, he's, Gray doesn't need to worry about having to change his pants anytime soon. Like he's covered. No more.
To be fair though, I didn't just so people don't get the wrong idea. I'm happy with my chip. Now, putting what we know aside for a moment, I'm happy with the chip. It's doing very well. It's gaming fine. All cool. And I've jumped from Intel to AMD and back to Intel and back to AMD several times over the years. So I'm used to doing this. Now, what they got away with and aren't going to get away with any longer, they deserve to be, sued for it, and they are. And again, since they extended the warranty, if for some reason my chip rusts right through my motherboard in another year,
and the motherboard goes as well.
Well, it could. Technically, if the chip oxidizes enough, I don't think so. From what I've read, it's an oxidation that happens within the chip.
Yeah. So
the chip essentially would rust itself out, kind of. Not gonna. I'm just being funny about it eating through the motherboard. But the point is that, if that were to happen within a year, and it could, I guess theoretically, then fine, I'll get a new chip and I'm good, or whatever. But
we need to touch on some of just one or two of the comments that they're putting in the Twitch chat. Right? Mercy is saying LTT Linus on the Linus Tech Tips was called out by Steve on their testing techniques. He said it was a while back. They didn't release the video for a bit after. He recommends going to watch it, which I will actually do. It's a weird one, Mercy, because I do like Linus and their channel and stuff, but sometimes, despite all the fancy technology and labs I've got for testing things, sometimes I think, the guys that I trust the most for testing and stuff like that, it's probably Gamers Nexus and Hardware. What are they called? The Aussies. It's Aussies that run it. Hardware Unboxed, I think it is, something like that. These are the guys that are the proper PC enthusiasts. They piss all over Linus when it comes to their skills and their knowledge, to be fair.
Sure.
I'm looking at time, conscious of time. So the last part of this is the disgusting part that gives me the rage, that really gives me the rage. And I will try not do a Steve and talk really fast because I'm angry. Because they were up a certain creek without a paddle, they are now sacking 15, and I say sacking because I don't believe in letting go. It's sacked. I'm sorry, guys. How you look at, you're sacked for doing nothing wrong. They're letting go 15,000 employees. Now, that is a lot, and I'm not justifying it. That is a small part of their workforce because they're so big. It's about 15%. And then here's the money shot right here. One of their head honchos on the investors call is heard saying, basically, we're going to release these people. We're going to be chopping some wood. Like, mate, what the is wrong with you? I need to get a swear button installed in this, man. Like, when we get our new setup, I'll be going off all the time. Trust me. This guy's an a-hole. I swear to God, these people live in a different planet. They're like politicians. They have no clue what it's like to be a normal person, or if they have, they've forgotten. Like, chopping wood. These are people. They've got livelihoods. They've got families. They've got horses. What's it, horses? Maybe they've got horses as well. They're rich. These people have got livelihoods. They've got houses, mortgages, and rents and stuff to pay. And yes, they'll give them redundancy packages, but I can't imagine they'll be great in the States, mate. I'd imagine, you get, when you're let go here, there's laws. You have to get good packages given to you usually. That is disgusting, first of all, to let all these people go because of your mistakes, and then to make such shallow-hearted. How many times have we covered this kind of thing, Gray, with people getting the sack in the gaming industry let go, and the comments people make, or people saying, like, chief execs going, "Oh, it's a shame, I worked with these people, it breaks my heart." Steve Gamers Nexus, when he's talking about these people letting go, do you know what he's doing? He's got a box of Kleenex, right? A box of tissues.
Oh,
and he's taking out fake dollar notes, and he's pretending to like.
Yeah, they're loaded with $100 bills, and he's
so
crying.
Sad. They're $100. Oh no, God! Oh
I love that. That was great, and they were real $100 bills too. Those weren't fakes, so that was pretty cool.
Literally, these people. Great, they're not going to be real $100 notes, mate. You can buy fake money for cosplay. How can you tell looking at a picture, mate?
I'm telling you, those you don't need a lot of them. They only put, you only put so many, and the rest can be like whatever.
Right.
It's kind of like when you have a roll of money, you put $100 bills on the outside, and the inside only has $1 bills. So it looks like
wise.
Whoa. But it was hilarious. I mean, he was funny. He's, oh my God, he's crying.
He was ripping him a new one. And we need people like him to fight our corner because level 1 tech is also a good source, says Si. Cheers, mate. I'll plumb that in, actually. I always like gaming, hardware, news stuff. I would love to, do you know what I'd love to do to these people, Gray? I'd love to just literally, if you watch South Park, you know this one, Rochambeau them, kick them in the nuts. And I say nuts because most of the time they're guys. Kick them the balls, full pelt, and then just let them be in pain for a few minutes. That would just make my day. And a lot. Film it, put it on Twitch, livecast it.
They'll probably wear a cup because they're expecting it.
They're expecting. Greg does comment that one of the CEOs makes $17 million per year. Like
one of the CEOs. There's more than one.
And you hear stories of them driving about in like their fancy cars the day before or the day after they let these people go and boasting about it. And oh man,
it's crazy.
It's disgusting. Crazy. I'm genuinely disgusting, man. I really, really am. But anyway, yeah, we could rant on that bit for ages. So Intel need to get on top of this and fix it really quickly. Great, we have time to fit in your mod corner thing if you want to talk about the CD Projekt Red stuff.
I can hold it off for next week.
Sure, yeah. Because we had about 5 minutes or so still. We'll hold it off then because, it's not like us to run out of content. We will be back next week. We might not have our new setup up and running. Bear with us, guys. We're doing it bit by bit, but it will look and sound a lot better, especially look a lot better. It'll look really, really cool. I'm looking forward to it. Right, I think that is pretty much going to be it. If you can hang around for a few minutes for the raid, we'll try and raid someone cool. Just pop in, say hello to them. You maybe make their day, and then you can bugger off. I wouldn't blame you. That's fine. But until the next time, great. Say goodbye to the people for me, mate. We'll catch you all later.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week.
Bye.
Bye. Goodbye.
I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your heart. In my heart I have but one desire, and that one is you. No other will do.